All right, everybody. Good afternoon. We've got some Seattle Seahawks news, and it's some fairly significant news, at the very least, very notable. Most of this won't necessarily come as a shock, and a lot of this is probably not that big of a deal, but it is certainly worth going over. It's certainly not good news. We're talking about injury stuff here, but we got some information from the Seattle Seahawks just about half an hour ago or so. And we are getting very close to the time where we're going to start to have a lot of information we can go over. Starting, I want to say next week on the 22nd, I think we're going to get training camp stuff. The rookies have already shown up, excuse me, and they obviously get a little bit of a head start, but we're going to start to really get some discussable, actionable items next week when full training camp starts, and presumably all the players are there. But with the start of training camp being right around the corner, we get some injury updates. So this came from several different sources that I saw across the internet. We'll just use Mike Dugar here, but it came from I saw it from Condota, I saw it from Corbin Smith, so seems pretty official. The Seattle Seahawks have put together their PUP, or physically unable to perform list, and their non-football injury list, which is sometimes called the NFI. So it's injury stuff. So it's not good. You don't want any injuries. And we actually have quite a few. This is not super exciting. This is not something that we should be too happy about. This is a pretty significant part of the roster, a substantial part of the roster. But let's go through it here. Let's talk our way through it. So first, we've got the PUP, 7 players. 7 guys are on the PUP. Abe Lucas, which we all pretty much expected. That one we've known for a while that he probably wasn't going to be able to get fully underway for a little bit. So that one's fully expected. Tyrell Dodson, there was also some indication that he was not going to be ready for the start of training camp. Although I do expect that he's going to be ready very soon. And if this injury, this PUP listing lingers more than a week or two, then we're gonna have to be a little bit concerned that this is more serious than people were letting on, and we're gonna have to wonder what are we gonna do, because that's a position where we really can't afford this kind of stuff. Jerome Baker starting on the PUP, which that was expected as well, but it still leaves us in a very, very bad position at the inside linebacker spot. Both of our presumed starters are currently sitting on the PUP, and while I do think Dodson will come back soon, I don't know about Baker. It's tough to tell. I do think that Baker will be ready for the regular season, but between that, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be ready for, is he going to be ready by August? Is he going to be ready for the first preseason game? And it's kind of a big deal that these guys get their reps, because they have not played in a Mike McDonald defense before. Like, not only are they new to the team, they're also new to this scheme. It's not like they're coming from Baltimore playing under Mike McDonald. So them losing their reps when we're going to be leaning on those guys so heavily, that's not good. We can't have that. So concerned about that for sure. Lance Boykin on the PUP. He's a guy who has an uphill battle to make the team at all. So an injury like this is definitely going to make life really hard for him to maybe even make the practice squad at this point. Jarek Reed II, I expect him to miss most of the season with the ACL tear, and I'm not terribly surprised. I expect him to start the season on IR at a minimum with the maybe he comes off after 6 weeks. I think that's the best case scenario. So wasn't really expecting to get anything from him. We've also got Drake Thomas. Don't know what's going on there. And we've got Cameron Young, which I wasn't aware that there was something that significant going on with him. It's obviously not great because, again, we need our players to build experience in this new system. But we're not doing too badly at nose tackle. You've got Jaron Reed. You've got Jonathan Hankins. So if Cameron Young does actually miss a significant part of the offseason and it ends up stunting his ability to contribute this year, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a concern. So not going to sweat that one too much, but there is definitely some stuff here that we as Seahawks fans are very reasonably concerned about. All right, so that's the PUP. It's not great. There's no way around it. It's not unexpected, but I think some of us were at least hoping that a guy like Dodson would be good to go by now. All right, so the non-football injury list. The significant one here is really the first one, Anthony Bradford. I don't know what's going on here. I know he missed a lot of mini camp with an injury, and we were told it was very minor, and he should be back any day now. And then we were told that over and over and over and over again, and he never got back, and he never got back, and he, I think, got back at the very end and actually started doing stuff on the field. But now he's on the non-football injury list, which implies that something else happened, I guess. I'm not exactly sure, but while I don't think Bradford is going to win the starting job on the right side, still needs to be out there. We have new offensive coaching as well. We have a new offensive system, and it's going to be tough for Anthony Bradford to have any chance at all of cracking the lineup on either side if he can't practice. So that's kind of the big one. That's the one that I'm concerned about. That's the one that could really have a negative effect on this season. We've seen in many, many times in NFL history a young player, or not necessarily just a rookie, just a young player in general, which Anthony Bradford is, having a disappointing season because they got off to a bad start before the season started, where it just puts you behind the eight ball and you can never really get to where you need to be. The last four names on the NFI list would be Easton Gibbs. He's a guy who I doubt makes the team. At the very least, I would say he's got a tremendous uphill battle, even in the best of scenarios. So that could basically end it just by him showing up on this list. DJ James and Nehemiah Pritchett. On the one hand, I don't expect either of those guys to be called on all that much this year because there's so much going on at cornerback in front of them. On the other hand, they're rookies, and this is an opportunity for them to get reps and build experience and be available to us next year or the year after. And it's not great they're missing that experience, so we don't love that, but not sweating that one terribly hard. And then D. Williams, who is another guy who is unlikely to make the team anyway, so this just makes life harder, but also doesn't have a tremendous effect on the Seahawks as of right now. And that's it. That's everybody. So 12 guys total. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that if you're on the PUP or the NFI, either of those lists, you can come off at any time. There's no time constraint. There's no like, oh, once you're on the PUP, you have to be on there for a month or a month and a half. No, you can come off at any time. The time constraint nature of being injured only kicks in once the season's underway. So for all we know, these guys are on the PUP, but they could come off it, well, probably not tomorrow because a lot of these guys aren't even in the building yet, but a guy like Tyrell Dodson could be on the list on next week on Thursday and then be off the list on Friday, and it wouldn't be that shocking. So I think that's good to keep in mind, but we're still talking about 12 guys on a 90-man roster. And while some of these guys are unlikely to make the 53, a lot of them are locks or basically locks to make it. So let me know what you think down below. It's not great news, but a lot of it, I guess, was anticipated. And that's really all you can say. Get well soon, get better soon, and be ready for the 2024 season when it gets started. Most of these guys, at the very least, I can say should be ready for the start of the regular season. So we got that going for us. See you guys later. Go Hawks.